on that man today, Eden Hazard. The form he's in, sensational. I think he was a Newcastle fan.
We said before the game, if Newcastle keep him quiet today, they've got half a chance, but they just couldn't. It was too good for them.
It was a man-of-the-match performance from him. What makes him perform at the best of his ability? What's the difference between a very good Eden Hazard performance and one that we've seen today?
I think it's just he's sort of... There'll be certain games that excite him. I mean, he's only a young man. Arguably his best years ahead of him. And the only criticism you can offer up about him is that sometimes he's not bang at it, but when he's in this mood, he's unplayable. And like all the truly great players are. You know, they become unplayable. He's certainly not meant that. No one means to strike a ball like that. So he got lucky there. But he's unplayable when he's at it, when he's in the mood. And today is certainly that.
He did say that he meant it. Jamie, are we taking issue with that?
I don't ever... I mean, no one's that good you can mean to strike it into the ground like that. You're looking to pure it as much as possible. But it's amazing. I said to Shay, how many goals go in when a player doesn't quite strike it? And I think that's what catches the goalkeeper off guard as well.
He made a few blocks today, Darryl, to be fair, made some big saves for Newcastle. But I think that one, if he hits it true, then he might get a block on that as well. But I don't believe Hazard is meant to knock it into the ground and finish.
I think Graeme made the point before the game, and it's a really good one. When you get Eden Hazard with no real defensive responsibilities, it just works so well for him. You know, and you had Fabregas, another one today, and that's what Newcastle couldn't deal with. Those two are just playing triangles all game. They were absolutely magnificent. The weight of pass by Fabregas is good there. And it was hard. There's a golfing class between the two sides. But those two players, when you're giving them no responsibility to have to defend and just say, go and create, go and cause as much havoc as possible, it's so difficult to defend against.
But we did see, and I don't know if the boys have got it, we see this outrageous penalty. You know, you can't do that again this year. Goalkeepers will be waiting on him. But there was an instant where he lost the ball in Newcastle's half. And he got up, and Newcastle are now breaking on Chelsea. He thought about going back, he hesitated, then he got into a sprint. He ended up winning the ball back on his 18-yard line and ended up coming out with it. So that attitude is there, it's in him. If he's in this mood, like all the truly great players, you can set all the bear traps and all obstacles for them, but they find a solution to all the problems you put in front of them. And he is, you know, he's a handful, maybe two handfuls of players that are out there where you can say, on their day they're unplayable, and he's certainly one of them.
Yeah, if we didn't know he was in that mood, we certainly did when he took the penalty. He said he's done that against Thibaut Courtois in Belgium training. How would you react, Shay?
Yeah, not good at all. No, I mean, in training, yeah, it's okay, but on a match day, you know, you say some guys practice in training, they do that, and you go crazy in the training ground, and then you say to them, oh, try that in a match day, and they wouldn't. But this guy has got the confidence to step up and do that, and yeah, I'm sure Carl Darrow wanted to chase after him, but it's you know, it just shows how confident the mood he's in, and even these comments after about the World Cup and England and all that stuff. He's super confident, and if he's on form in the summer, then England will be having some problems as well.
You and I can only
I know you two would like that.
Sorry.
You've got your Panama hat ready. Let's talk about Eden Hazard's overall performance, because, Jamie, before the game we talked about him in his number 10 role. He had 9 shots on goal, 6 of them were on target. It's more than any other player in the Premier League this season, and it's a career high for him as well.
And a nutmeg-a-thon. He had a couple of nutmegs today. I mean, look at that. I mean, his feet were so quick today. And this is brilliant. Watch this bit of skill here. Look, chop, chop, and he just takes it away. He's unlucky not to score. He was in, you know, great form. I also think Fabregas deserves
this is the one.
Mention.
Jamie, this is the one.
And a little bit of skill after as well.
He thinks about it. Now watch, he gets into gear. He's back. He ends up
and then watch what he does on Moreno here. Watch this. Look. Oops. Good luck.
Now, as a coach manager, you're telling your players, do not attempt those things on the edge of your box. Maybe with players of his ability, given the he can be the exception. He's a class act.
Interesting to see him running back to get the ball back again, because that's what we're told that he shouldn't be asked to do if we want to see him at his best.
Yeah, you want him basically, Kelly, you want him saving his energy for going forward, hurting the opposition. But in that instance, he felt guilty because he was the one that had lost the ball needlessly. And he thought about it and then got himself into a sprint and ended up coming out with the ball. But you know, that shows he's a team player when he wants to be. He's got everything to be. You know, when you think of the two top men around today, the two, you know, Messi and Ronaldo, when they go, who are the next ones that can take that mantle? Neymar, he comes into that category. He's that good.
Carl Darlow conceded 3 goals. Newcastle conceded 3 goals today, but did he have a bad game?
I don't think so. I think he was probably one of the better players from Newcastle. We've seen in the piece he made some great blocks. He probably hits the nail on the head there. If they had stayed in the game longer, 2-1, you know, the third goal kills him. It's game over after the third goal, and I felt a bit for Matt Ritchie as well. He was playing left back most of the second half, and he's given away a daft penalty in a sense. But Carl Dallow, I think, has done very, very well. We spoke about the goalkeeping situation before the game, but he was probably one of the better players today, I felt.
Made some really good saves.
Really good saves and important saves as well.
Yeah, I think if you're a Newcastle supporter, you can't be disappointed with the result today. You know, they're coming to a team who are current champions, a team that will be fighting all the way to the end in the Premier League and possibly the Champions League. For a manager, he's got the most out of the players, the group of players he's got. I think you're pushing them to the limits. You can't get much more than that. But coming here for anyone, even for the big guys coming here, this is a difficult place right now.
And was the approach right from the beginning, Jamie? That quick start, was that the right way to go about it?
It was, but he's a golfing class. I mean, you're looking in. Chelsea can bring on Pedro. We didn't even come on. You got William, Bakayoko, and this was a good start. And then you think, OK, got someone to hang on to here. You know, the man, he made a big decision, not playing Joselu, and then picked Dwight Gale, and it paid dividends. And then you're thinking, OK, can they hang on? Can they maybe get something out of this game? And Shay and I were talking just before the Chelsea goal. Maybe they could get something. That's a really good finish, but that's when the class started to really count. They couldn't get near him in midfield. And we were just it seemed like at times Chelsea had 12, 12 players on
They came out really well first half, Newcastle, and got their noses in front, and it was a fantastic start for them. But you know, I think we said in here, can they keep that up for 90 minutes? That's what I'm saying. Chasing them high press is very difficult.
For Newcastle to get a result today, we spoke about it, they've got to be bang at it. Some of the Chelsea players haven't got to be bang at it. You've got to be in their face, stopping them, making the Chelsea players, you know, go square all the time. You can only do that for so long. You know, the reason Chelsea are a top team is because they've got players who, when they're confronted with a problem, it might take them 5 minutes to work out, it might take them 10 minutes, they might get it in a minute, but eventually they'll start to see where your weaknesses are.
Some talking points about Morata's goal for Chelsea.
Definitely.
Do you think this is him using his physicality, or is it a foul?
No, it's a push from the back. And Mbemba, the criticism here is, first of all, poor header from Ritchie. Now you're saying, please stop the cross, the ball comes in. The first centre-half is scared to put his head on it, number 20, the Frenchman. But it's a clear push for me. Why would Mbemba go down in that position? He must feel Morata's hands on the back of him here. Look, watch. Now just stay strong. But he sort of collapses from the knees down. At that point, he should be getting his body weight back into him.
As well, Mbemba didn't go to the referee, didn't react. You know, if you felt the foul, you'd be jumping up and running after the referee, wouldn't you? Trying to claim for something. It was just an acceptance. You know what I mean? I just didn't like that.
But for a centre-half, you're looking for centre-halves to bully centre-forwards. I know Morata's a big guy, but the minute you're feeling someone on your back with his hands, you've got to tighten up and back into him. And you've got a good chance to see where the ball's coming. It's not going to be sat up there. You can see the ball coming at you. It's sort of 6 foot high. Just be big, strong. And Morata doesn't get his head on it.
The player I think deserves a mention as well, and we were talking about Victor Moses today, coming back into the team, missed a large chunk of the season with a hamstring, makes a huge difference. With the system they play with wing-backs, he's taught himself, and the manager's obviously helped him to being one of the best wing-backs in world football. It suits him, that position, and there's no surprise. He's involved with a penalty, involved with that goal. I thought he was brilliant today, and he is top class.
Well, Newcastle boss Rafa Benitez now with Jeff Shreves.
Rafa, you made a very bright start, but was it individual mistakes that cost you once again?
Yeah, I think so. When you are playing against a good team, if you make mistakes, I said before, you pay for that. And today it was similar. We were doing well. We had an idea. I think the players, they were doing quite well. But we made these mistakes against good players with the quality that they have. They punish you.
What were the mistakes you made, particularly on the first couple of goals?
Yeah, heading the ball or leaving them to play some penetrating passes, the penalties, or things like that. That we were in the game, and you never know what can happen when you are.
They can do Newcastle?
It's going to be a difficult few weeks coming up. You know, there's so much uncertainty off the pitch, and you know, we spoke about it, me and Graeme. There's been a lot of uncertainty in Newcastle over the years, but even more so now because Ashley said they're so far down the line with this takeover thing. But the players and the manager, they can't use that as an excuse. There's so many big games coming up, and such a busy period now with the Christmas and New Year. And then the difficulty of getting players in January is not easy either. So they need to, you know, look over their shoulder, and you know, they're 5 points clear the drop zone, but you can easily get sucked back into that.
When you talk about the important games that they have coming up, in their next 6, they've got 4 teams in the top half and 2 that have just appointed new managers. So it could be. You know, when we talk about them only being 5 points off the drop of the table, the 5 points off the drop in the table, that's why we're drawing attention to that, because their next run of fixtures is so tough.
Yeah.
That's 18 points they've got to play for before the end of the year. You know, it's going to be very, very difficult for them. And I come back to what we touched on before we start. You know, Newcastle dropping into the danger zone. It's far harder for the players at Newcastle to play under the, you know, the pressure they would come under from the crowd and atmosphere inside the stadium. So they've got to be big. They've got to expect, you know, to be playing under pressure if you're at a big football club. I think it's going to be difficult for them, not impossible. I mean, you've got a manager who's constantly talking about wanting to improve his lot. That's not unusual, but that's been going on since the first day of the season, wanting more and better players. That's not going to change. If the takeover doesn't happen, is everyone in Newcastle going to be, you know, does that put a different atmosphere inside the stadium, which again will affect the players on match day? It's going to be an interesting watch what happens at Newcastle. But for Newcastle, this was never going to be an easy season, same as Huddersfield and Brighton. Survival for a team coming up is everything in that first year. Get past that first hurdle, then maybe the purse strings would be loosened and they could go again, whether it's with a new owner or Mr. Ashley. But it's going to be a difficult 6 months for Newcastle, as I see it.
But Jamie, even if the takeover happens this week, it's still going to be the same manager working with the same group of players, and if there are injury concerns, they're going to be the same injury concerns. Nothing can change until January.
And there's nothing to say. I mean, the owners might come in, they might end up being like Man City's owners, for instance, and want to spend vast amounts of money, or they might be someone who just wants to keep that squad, want to keep a certain wage structure. So there's no guarantee the people that are going to come in are going to spend fortunes either. I agree with Graeme. It's going to be a tough one. They've got 3 games there. I think it was Everton, Brighton, West Ham. They're the key games. They've got to pick up points, pick up wins. If they can get back-to-back wins, that all of a sudden changes it. Because at the moment, with the start of the season they had, you start to look behind you thinking, OK, teams are starting to pick up points. Palace, are they going to be in this position? They're picking up points. And that's what they're going to do. But today, have I learnt anything? Nothing. You're playing against a team that's they've got so much quality in that Chelsea team. And if you could 3-1, I think you called it before the game 3-1, Shane. I think, you know what, I'm sure if you'd have asked Rafa Benitez before the game, would you take that? I think he would have done.
Rafa Benitez may well have taken it, as would Antonio Conte.
Performance from your team today?
Yeah, a good performance today, and maybe our start was a bit slow. Wasn't good enough, but after we went 1-0 down, we started to play with a good intensity. We created chances to score. Finally, at the end, for sure, a good performance.
In a way, does that make the performance even better, because you did start slow and you did go a goal behind?
But I think this team is a lot of professional, and also when our start is not good enough, and then there is always a good reaction. It was the same like Liverpool, and this team is strong. For sure now we are in a good form under physical condition. We are trying to improve a lot of things also under tactical aspect, offensively, defensively. I think we are working very well, and we have to continue in this way.
Both teams had chances in the first 30 minutes. Were you surprised how open the game was?
No. Honestly, I wasn't surprised. Also because Newcastle in the table they have 15 points, and it means that now you can play open game, and you try. It's right to try to win, especially in this period, in this busy period, where you know that you are facing a team that is playing every 3 days, and maybe you can find a bit of time, no, in your opponent. It's right to try to win.
You say you're in good form right now. How would you describe the form of Eden Hazard in particular?
Eden played a good game. I think today we saw a good link between Eden and Alvaro. In this type of game, when we decided to have this tactical solution, I think he has more freedom to play as striker, and then to offensively is very dangerous. I think today he played very very well. I scored twice, and twice the goalkeeper made fantastic saves. Yeah, he must continue in this way and to try to improve himself.
Antonio, thank you.
Thank you very much.
The build-up to this game, which is how quickly the fixtures come and the fact that Newcastle had an extra day to prepare, which possibly could have contributed.
Don't buy that. You're playing in the Champions League. It means you've got a big budget to work with. You buy players. You get a squad which can deal with that. That's the price on the ticket if you're in the Champions League. You know, they now. Does that mean that after next Tuesday, when they haven't got it, and I think the 13th of February, all the teams that, or any manager who bitches about that, or complains about that, does that mean that that period of time, those 2 months of saying how lucky we are because we're a Champions League team, we've got a big squad to work with, it's part of the deal. You know, you have to deal with it as a Champions League manager. You know the games are going to come thick and fast. You know there'll be lots of travelling to remote places. You've just got to deal with it. And that is a price on the ticket.
And look at the players he can bring on. Look at the players he's bringing on. He's got Bakayoko on the bench, Willian on the bench, Pedro doesn't even need to come on. You can't really complain. Last year you didn't have Champions League, you won the league. This is what success brings. But I thought today the player that really stood out for me, apart from Hazard, was Fabregas. You know, I thought he was a joy to watch. We're lucky we haven't got to pay for our tickets here, but if you did pay, you got value for money. Some of his passing was just pinpoint. I think this is the one here to Hazard. I mean, look at the flight of that ball. It's perfect. You know, and he played on Wednesday, and it didn't matter to him. And I think the position really helps him because you're not asking him to defend too much. You had Drinkwater and Kante to do the leg work, if you like. But give him space like this. There's not many better shades there.
Fantastic player. I mean, how many years are we talking about Fabregas now? And the weight of this pass for the penalty is just bang on, isn't it? Yeah. It sucks Richie into making that daft tackle.
He can only I don't think he was ever the best at it, but at this stage in his career, he can only play with lots of legs round about him. We covered the game here when they drew with Arsenal, and it was him and Kante in midfield. He was being asked to do, you know, an all-round midfielder's job, which is close the ball down, work hard to stop the opposition, get it, and still make the passes. He can't do that. He needs, you know, real energy around about him, and if you allow him the freedom to get on and create, there's no one better, because whatever picture he's got in his head, you know, and he's got the technique to deliver on it. He sees a different picture to most, and when the ball ends up his feet, he's got the technique to deliver on that picture he sees. He's
also, I think the manager deserves credit because I think that's the system that works for him as well, Graeme, doesn't it?
Yeah, again, and I think it shows he was still finding out about Cesc Fabregas when he played them in that formation when they played Arsenal, thinking he could do that sort of the doggy work as well as all the flair that the man possesses. But I think to see the best of Cesc, you've got to get him further up the pitch and you've got to surround him with young legs.
No one made more key passes, crosses or tackles than Cesc Fabregas in that game, so they're certainly getting the best out of him, and they certainly got the best out of him today. It means 3 points for Chelsea. It takes them level with Manchester United in second place, 8 points off Manchester City at the top. They're playing West Ham. We'll be talking about that a bit later on. But the games that Chelsea have coming up, given that they've played some tough fixtures already this season, is this Christmas period an opportunity for them to mount a serious challenge?
It doesn't work like that. You know, you can look at those games on paper and say, OK, none of the big guys in there, so we've got an easier Christmas. It doesn't work out like that. You know, one of Jeff's questions in the tunnel beforehand to Drinkwater, you know, you're now playing a team that's sort of in the lower parts of the league. Does the attitude have to be different? It doesn't have to be. It has to be better. You know, because there'll be some players in the dressing room will look at those fixtures and think, easier game today. The big guys in the dressing room have got to point out, especially some of the foreigners, in England, nobody rolls over. You know, I've worked abroad. You can play abroad in 10, 15 minutes. If you score early, if you're a big team, they'll sort of accept the result. In our country, no one accepts defeat. You know, they keep going and keep going. And Newcastle at 2-1 today still had a go, at 3-1, still had a go, still believed they could get back into the game. I don't think we see that on the continent like we see it in our country. So those fixtures on paper would appear to be easy, but they won't be easy. There's every chance, almost guarantee it, Chelsea will slip up in a game where you wouldn't expect them to slip up. Not just Chelsea, all the big guys.
No question that Newcastle's fixtures look easy. They've got a tough next 6 games, and Although 12th place, Shay, in the table looks fairly comfortable, they look like they're sort of in mid-table, reasonably secure. That 5 points with the fixtures that they've got coming up, should they be slightly nervous? Should they still be looking over their shoulders?
I think that they've had 1 victory in 10 games, so that's not good form for any club down in the bottom half. They're looking over their shoulders for sure. You know, confidence, if you get beat every week, confidence gets drained out of the team, individuals, the team as a unit, even the management team, it sucks the life out of them, and they're looking over the shoulder, they're getting dragged back in, and, you know, they've got a tough December, got some big games coming up in December, and you know, Chelsea the same, but there's not much recovery time in between, 2 or 3 days over the Christmas period, and they haven't got the biggest squad in Newcastle either, so that'll hit them or test them really hard.
So Chelsea moved to within 8 points of the leaders, Manchester City.